Good evening and welcome to Love and Stuff. I am Marcus Holmes, your facilitator, and let me start at the outset by just taking a glance across platforms and thanking you for joining us tonight. Um, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us through Restream. We are live on YouTube events, on Facebook, the Marcus R. Holmes page, as well as the Love and Stuff page. And we are also live at the Twitch TV. So I just want to check in a couple of places just to see where we are. Fantastic. And I see that I still got this I got this virtual background that is virtually covering me. So I'm working at it. But this is one of the new designs done by Nate Austin. His design company did a fantastic job. And so I just got to work it out to ensure if it doesn't work out in a moment, though, we will ensure that we go our regular way. Virtual background. All right. Jones Love has joined us and a few others. I hope that you will click share. We really are not going to stay on long at this point. We will come back later so that we can all watch results. Karen Poole has joined us. Give me shouts out in the room because I'm looking across platforms and I'm not seeing who actually is here, but there are folks that are joining. And so we tried on a previous election cycle to show some of the live footage. And so, of course, that is to some degree copyrighted, right? And it's the right and owner of those news stations. And so I will be back a little later on. Sherry Jackson Caldwell has joined us. Thank you so much. Hey there. I will be back a little later on. Thank you. It's bleeding over me, but we'll work at it. This is by Nate Austin and his design company. So you can look him up. He's my Facebook friend if ever you need designs. He designed this. So let me start by saying thank all of you who participated in the She's Cooking Something last Friday. It was wonderful. If you are interested still to get access only, it is purchase $9.99. You can go to the Love and Stuff page, click on it, purchase access. Is still available. It was phenomenal. It featured Tabitha Goodner, Yashika Holston, Rashida the Glam Dr. LaShawn, Valencia Etner. It was fantastic. We had women entrepreneurs who sponsored giveaways, and everyone had a great time. So people are still talking about the different recipes, both for food and for your faith and your face, that they enjoyed. So you're still welcome to support us by going to the Love and Stuff page and purchasing access to She's Cooking Something. It's $9.99. But I figured I would come on around our regular time, which is 8:30, and we will come back a little later when more results are in. I know a lot of people, if you're like me, sitting on the edge of your seat all night just isn't how you want to do it, but you're anxious to hear the results. At one point earlier, I saw where it looked like Biden had 44 electoral votes projected. Trump had 37. I don't know how that's shaking out at this point. Let's see. Tanya Embry has joined us. Corey Reed has joined us. Erica Darnell, Greg Thomas. Blessings and healing to you, brother. Staffy Blakely has joined us. Thank you so much for coming through. We are checking in with everybody on this election night. We'll be back later when we get more information. Like I said, the last check I did before coming live, it looked like Biden had projected 44, Trump 37. And of course, there are still many states, and very early in the reporting. I thought it was very interesting, and I'm very hopeful that these results maintain as it relates to Pennsylvania. Looks like it went blue. Hopefully it did, and I'm holding out hope for North Carolina, which didn't look so blue. But we will continue to follow it tonight and see, what the results are. I know everybody wants to see the results, and a lot of people turned out, it appears, hopefully, and hopefully a lot of people that voted absentee ballots. All right. So I'm just checking something. CNN is saying something here. And I'm going to soon get off so we can come back to it. It's a tight race taking place in Florida, which we figured that would be a tight race. Wow. Yeah. It's early to call. They're tightly poised with 81% of votes counted, but there's concern for Democrats in populous southern counties. Yes, we kind of knew that. Looks like they are projecting that Trump will win in Indiana, Oklahoma, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee. A little slightly surprised about the West Virginia, but not totally. Biden will win Vermont, Delaware, Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Massachusetts. So it's early. Yeah, so it's depending on who's reporting. Someone said 44 to 37. They're saying 42 to 30. So we'll see. Yeah, it looks like Georgia and Pennsylvania could be turned blue, but it's early to make a projection in some of the key states they're saying. So we'll see. Yes. So basically, we'll wait and see. We'll watch and see as figures trend. Terrence Tolliver has joined us as well. And so I wanted to come on at our regular hour at 8:30 to both thank you for your support. And she's cooking something this past weekend, which again is still available, access only. And to encourage you that I'm so proud of the many of people who have gone out to vote, and those of us that regularly vote, it's been our duty, but it appears that people seem to be more engaged this time around. And so we hope that there is great fruit to that labor, and hopefully go blue. I was saying that on an earlier show with some of the religious leaders in Pennsylvania earlier today. If you caught that, if not, you can go back and watch it. Normally go blue in Michigan means U of M, but we're saying go blue to the country, right? Not only do we want Biden to win, we certainly want to turn Congress blue. And hopefully that will enable the agenda that is being set forth, the agenda that we expect to have a great stake in, that it will help to move forward that agenda. I'm hopeful. I know that there are a lot of pundits and a lot of news junkets saying a lot of different things all over the map, as it were. And there are some that say we may not, have results as quickly as we think we will have. In either regard, keep the faith and let's hang in there and hope for the very best for our country and our world. I will be back later on. I'll give it a couple of hours and we'll do a late night edition, and I'll just come back on and touch bases with you to get your sentiment on how you're feeling. Do you feel confident? Is your stomach a bowl of jello? I saw someone comment that, their stomach was a bowl of jello right now. Some people say I'm at peace. Some people say, without regard, whichever way it goes, the Lord is in control. So I want to talk with some of you about your sentiment. I definitely believe and agree with anybody that says the Lord is in control. However, I am concerned about the people that are in office. And I think we will be better off with certain people in office than with other people. I feel strongly about that. And, we shall see. I'm going to remain hopeful. I hope that you are. And I know that there is, there's been a lot of, politics can be dirty, but there's been a lot of negative talk and threats and division and unfriending and things of that nature. So hopefully we can also achieve some healing and unity after this is over. We still are in the midst of a pandemic and we still need each other. So having said that, I'm going to prepare to sign off. I just want to shout out to my family in Saginaw on the loss of one of my first cousins. Anne, rest in peace, who passed away earlier. And I'm praying for all of my Coleman cousins, especially my David Coleman cousins, in the passing of their sister. And I am thinking of you tonight and praying for you. You may remember the name Brian Morgan, who is a part of our Love and Stuff community, is my cousin. It is his mother that passed. And I hope to talk with him soon. Much prayer to that part of my family. So we will be back on in a little bit. Maybe we'll even be less fluorescent or whatever this is that's happening. We'll fix it. But thank you, Nate, for the new background. I really love and appreciate it. I will size it and fix it, but I couldn't. I just had to show it. It just says Love and Stuff with Marcus Holmes. You can't see that part. I got to kind of size it. And we'll go from that. Thank you, Darren Williams. I didn't know that you were in here. I would pulled you on really quickly. I'll drop the link in the comments really quickly because I just, want to hear what people are thinking. I know that people of faith are saying, whatever the outcome, God is in control. And I know that he is in control. I do. I really do. Quite often we want control, I don't know if that's the God-like nature in us. I don't know if that's the faith journey part of us. I don't know if it's a mixture of the two, but I do, of course, because we are activated and engaged, we want to see certain outcomes. And so I'm hopeful for those outcomes. And not only, in the presidency, but among a number of judges and other leadership positions in Congress and elsewise. So very hopeful, and we will remain hopeful as we continue to watch throughout the night. So, it's coming in. I'm trying to follow all on one platform, but it's coming in and out. So, Corey Mildred King have joined us. Thanks, cousins. Yep, I just shared the news about cousin Ann. Leonard Forrest has joined us. Wow. All right. So, and he's in a battleground state in Georgia. And so that's become a battleground state. And so we are hoping to turn it blue, hoping that Pennsylvania's projected blue holds out, hoping that though it's 81% of the votes that have come in Florida, that it's blue. Those will all be great. Michigan, I'm counting on a blue. I'm hoping we're blue. And hopeful for Wisconsin, Ohio, and North Carolina as well. Those are some of the states as well. Of course, Texas, but we expect to get results a little later for Texas and California, farther out west, a little later, but we will check in just to check to see what your sentiment is as you're starting to hear the results, and what are some of your hopes for next steps? What are you hoping happens next? Because we're still in the midst of a pandemic that is raging in a way that it appears to be a second wave. And so, what are your hopes for the next steps for our country and our future? All right. So, Darren, let me know if you're still here. Give me a like or love. I'll pull you in really quickly before I'm going to try to make sure we're off in about 9 minutes. And then we'll come back maybe at about 10:30 just to see where we are. By that time, we should have some good reporting. I will imagine we have a lot of reporting because a lot of, we'll see. We should have some good reporting, I think. So give me a like really quickly and I will shoot you the link if you are still here so that I'll know that you're still here. Okay, cool. I'm going to shoot you this. I'm going to drop this link in the comments for you to join me really quickly. Let's see. Right. Okay. Yes, yeah, I see it. Thank you, sir. All right, all right. Get it to the comments. And again, I want to again thank you all for your support with the She's Cooking Something That Bears Repeating. It was a great production. Our next production is Stuffed with Love, a spoken word experience, which will be happening on Friday, November 27th, the day after Thanksgiving at 7 o'clock p.m. It will feature LaShawn Phoenix Kotarin, who you will know from this community and who is a poet extraordinaire. Along with a few other poets, we will have a night of poetry. You don't want to miss it. We'll have some great comedy, some poetry, and some great music. So stay tuned for more information about that. It will be access only. And so we'll give you more information about how you gain access to that access only event. Not every event will be access only, but access only is one of the many ways in which Love and Stuff can build its vision about taking the Love Tour on the road. And so now we're just kind of highlighting and elevating some of the voices and gifts and graces that are within, that are within. Okay. Leonard is saying, and tell me if you're seeing the link, Darren. I'll also inbox it if you can't get it there. The largest polling station, which is Fulton County, has an issue with counting the ballots because of a pipe that burst in at the state arena. Wow. Wow. Today of all days. Wow. Okay. And Darren, I just inboxed that to you as well. Wow. So I'm hopeful that you will click share and tag someone. I'm going to just have Darren come in for a minute. And hopefully I can work on this backdrop. A minute. Okay. Darren Williams joins us from out west. How are you, sir? Your backdrop is doing as much as mine. Okay. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I hear you.
All right. And tell me, you're in Oklahoma, right?
Yes, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Kanye West was actually on the ballot.
Wow. And it appears that Mr. Trump is the projected winner of Oklahoma. Does that surprise you?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by some of the places that he appears to be winning. I'm hopeful in the places that are yet open. What are your hopes for tonight?
Well, that's a good question. Obviously, and I'm always candid, however, I'm really different on voting. I know that Donald Trump is the exact representation of who America is now. He's not an anomaly. He is what America is now. However, neither America nor the rest of the world can stand that for another 4 years. And so, um, that being that, however, in my candidness, I have to also say that there are a lot of concerns that I have with Joe Biden also. And so, I don't believe in the lesser of two evils talk, because to choose evil at any time is what it is. But yeah, that's where I am. I did exercise my right to vote because I voted because we need a new system, not just new candidates or people in office.
So
We need
your vote was a referendum on the system.
exactly.
How do you effectuate that by voting? How do you effectuate that? How does that look? You say you voted because we need a new system.
Yeah.
How do you plan that new system to come into play?
It happens both before and after the election, which is for people to be really understand what our system is, what it's doing and not doing, and to understand that the way it operates is the way it was designed to operate,
Mhm.
that we don't find ourselves where we are,
Mhm.
that this has been planned. And so for people like me, the rest of our work starts tomorrow. It doesn't matter who wins the presidential election, because
Mhm.
the work for a new system is before and after elections always. That's
Mhm.
why Stacey Abrams, to me, was such a wonderful potential vice presidential pick for Joe
Mhm.
Biden,
Mhm.
be that as it may.
Mhm. And what's that work look like? What does the work tomorrow look like to
The
you?
work is education, which is, instead of our people just getting the you need to vote rally, you need to register rally, it's to understand that, and this is an epiphany I personally had to come to, because there was a number of years, and up until very recently, like a month ago, where I was done with the political system
Mhm.
because of seeing how at its core
Mhm.
it was inherently evil
Mhm.
and not designed to be just.
Mhm.
But I realized in this political, just a month ago, how hard they fought to keep us from voting with voter suppression, with
Mhm.
all of the tactics that they
Mhm.
have been using. That showed me how important our vote really is.
Mhm.
However, to continue to vote the same way perpetuates not flawed, not just broken, because our system is far worse than those things, but to
Mhm.
continue to participate in it the same way, gives us the same kind of system. And so
Mhm.
we've got to talk, not just vote, vote, vote. We've got to talk, what do we actually do about gerrymandering? What do we actually do about redistricting? What do we actually do about the laws that restrict convicts from voting? And of course, there are some states who have already changed things like that, about
Mhm.
how formerly convicted felons vote, whether they can or not. But it's those conversations, and how it's not just going into the voting booth and checking names and turning in ballots, but a block of voting has to be done. We've got to vote in a way that is strategic.
Mhm.
And then you have to put money with your votes, because politicians respond to dollars.
Mhm.
And if you want something done once they're in office, they've got to see that you've done more than just cast a ballot for them. And so it's that kind of actually a campaign to educate us about voting, because I don't know that we are very educated on it.
Mhm. And how do you propose to get that work started?
Well, it's already started with me.
Mhm.
I actually, tomorrow I just talked with my pastor, to ask her if she wanted to have anything to say before I did Bible study tomorrow night. We do virtual Bible study.
Mhm.
And she said, well, I haven't really thought about it. Let me call you back. She just called me back a little while ago, and she was like, well, I have complete confidence in you. I trust you. But for me, that, and all of this is part of the response, which is in our local congregations with our people, it is starting those campaigns there. And again, it's not waiting until the next election cycle begins. For the third time, I said it. This works restarts tomorrow.
Mhm. Well, I think that that's an interesting platform and position. I hope that others are so enlightened to spark the discussions and conversation and action around changing the system. I don't, disagree that there certainly needs to be monumental change and change in mindset about how we come together strategically. Because I don't know that as a people or even as a party that we've done well to come together strategically. And that's my concern. I'm always looking for great ideas to participate in, but when it comes time for the unification of various segments or factions of society to come together, that's where we seem to stall. Do you agree with that? And how do
That
we work at that?
that's 100% true. But I think also that that is owing to the type of political system we have. The late Dr. Mack King Carter said this more than 30 years ago, and it's rung in my soul ever since he said it. Partisan politics is a trap, especially for African American people.
Mm.
What that means in a measure is when you have a system like ours functions of necessity, you are going to have the kind of chaos that crescendos when it comes to a presidential election. And we've got to learn. We've got to learn a better way. Necessarily, do I have an answer about a better way? Necessarily, no. But we've got to learn a better way. What I do know is that 100% of the time, history bears this out, that what we have leaves us, especially as a people, in a mess. We have never achieved any height under the system the way it is. And something has got to give. Um, Something has to. And I get really radical, but let me stay right there.
Well, I mean, I'm interested in hearing what the something is.
Yeah, radical is radical is that you literally, which is what the word means, that you actually get to the bottom, get to the root of what a thing is, and you rebuild. You start from there, and the argument is here because even those who are in power, powerful, rich white men, admit that the system, and these are their words, is flawed and that it is broken. I say, though, that that's not the true description, because the true description is that it is corrupt and inherently so. The way this system was designed by rich white land owning men, okay, which automatically excluded women, which automatically excluded the indigenous people of this land, and it verbally automatically excluded African American people. And so flawed is not a description of something that starts against 2/3 of the population. That's not a description of flawed or broken. That's a description of corrupt. When you develop a thing to exclude the majority of the population, that's more than just being flawed. And the only way something like that is repaired, you got to go all the way to the root of it. You got to go to the heart, and you have to begin again. You got to do that. And what that looks like, we've never seen it. And I think our fear is because of the unknown, because we've never seen such a thing. There is the fear of the unknown. My point, though, is this: for African Americans, there's nothing to lose for us with starting over again, because we lose every time anyway. That's what I think, Doc.
Okay. Those are fair thoughts.
And don't stop being my friend because of how radical I am.
No, I think I have friends slightly more radical, but I'm gonna keep
Okay,
you I'm gonna keep you right in that same group,
okay,
and love you right through it.
okay, all right.
Valerie Colbert Osunwedi, hit that link if you she's just joining. I'd love to have her join us briefly. I know that I'm probably missing some of the results as they're happening. Earlier when I saw it, it was projected that it was 44 to 37. Then CNN said 42 to 30. So we're just going to follow along with how these electoral college votes lay themselves out.
And of course, some say it'll be 7, 8, 9 days before we really know.
Yep. I've heard that as well.
Yeah, we'll see.
We shall see. Certainly, there are a number of places where have been decisions up into this day, I think, from appeals courts and things of that nature about the ballots and,
That's right.
when they
That's
would,
true.
finally be counted or finally be accepted and that kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
that's
I
true.
think all of that factored in makes it for much more than a long night. But I thought, we might have a little bit more definitive information as more of the votes are counted where they are
Hmm.
counted. So,
Hmm.
Valerie Cobertos, what did you see that link? If you do hit that link, are you still here? Give me a like if you are still here. I'm talking with Darren Williams,
Mm.
who is a transplant from Detroit to Oklahoma, and of course he was not surprised, as I am not either, that Oklahoma would be carried by Mr. Trump. Um, I'm still saying Mr. Trump. It's been 4 years, and I'm still saying Mr. Trump. Um, and I am going to remain hopeful. I do think you make some great points that the system is broken. Now, I think if something's broken and you know it's broken, you have to figure out how to fix it, and you've got to determine if the cost to fix it will have enough of resources and alliances to fix it. Because I will imagine there are people that know it's broke and they don't want to fix it.
No.
So, you know, if we identify it's broken and we do nothing about it, are we any different than the people who have designed it to be broken? So that's a concern of mine. If we say it's broken and we say, well, but you know, what do we do? Well, if we don't try to figure it out and we do nothing, what is the purpose of saying it's broken? Identification.
And that's, I think that has become part of party platforms or political platforms,
Mm-hmm.
because the greater public for sure understands that there are terribly serious problems with the system.
Mm-hmm.
When a politician, though, announces or acknowledges something like that publicly, it appears that that may be a political ploy that they use
Mm-hmm.
to identify with voters.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we see, or better, should I say, what we don't see, is if and when they do get elected, nothing changes. They make no changes with how the system operates and works against people. And
And do we, on that point though, do
sure.
we mobilize and unify to hold them accountable, if it is with resources, if it is with whatever? I mean, if we put people in office to do a job, how effective are we in holding people accountable? I don't see where we do that. We come together and hold people accountable for what we've asked them to do, put our money behind it or whatever. If you think about a $1 trillion market, a multi-trillion dollar market is the African American community. I've heard that over and over again. So when do we take some of those dollars, even billions of them, and say, okay, if money is what you need for us to wield, here it is, and here's what we expect in return? When will we do that? Or will we just say, well, they sure use that as a ploy for their platform. We got the show, got them in, but Massa didn't do nothing for us. Well, I don't know if we surrounded the big house and made Massa cook the food and tend the ground till the ground in the way we wanted to.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And that actually the point that I'm seeking to make when I talk about the work of voting is before election day and after. It
Mm-hmm.
is the whole process of, on the front end, vetting candidates,
Mm-hmm.
understanding propositions and bills that are being put forth. That's the front end work of voting. On the day of is the exercise, but the day after that is making sure the investment you made when you went into that voting booth actually pays off for you. That is where you stay in your elected officials uh, mailbox, voicemail, and in their office and on TV, making sure that that your investment pays off, holding them accountable, holding their feet to the fire. That is the whole voting process. Those
Yeah.
are not separate pieces to it. That
Yeah.
all is one process.
Yeah. And yes, I think I get that point pretty crystal clear. I just think the you in that point has always been considered individual or factioned rather than you plural
No,
and
no.
united.
And that's how voting is marketed to us. Your vote counts. Raise your. It is marketed as an individual enterprise, and when it's done that way, the intention is to generate the support so that the system continues.
Mhm.
Educated voters realize that it is block voting, that it is strategic voting, that it is group voting that makes a difference when we actually go to the box. And of course, you can say, well, I'm voting for this candidate. Okay, I'm voting the same one. I'm voting the same one. I'm voting the same one. Okay, that's fine. But the work before and after the actual voting day, that's where the rest of, I mean, that's when our voices as one actually means something.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's somewhat unfortunate because there are people who work in the trenches year round, but
Yes,
they don't
yes,
get the plural you.
yes.
Okay, I just saw something else. Biden's projected to win is this New Mexico. So some of these are not surprises. So now the latest projection is 119 Biden, 94 Trump.
Mm-hmm.
They've
And
called,
those maps are looking bluer than they did last year. I can say that much.
yeah, so they've called preliminarily for Biden, Vermont, Virginia, Connecticut, Delaware,
Virginia? Oh my
mhm,
God.
Illinois,
Huh.
Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Rhode Island, New York, New Mexico. For Trump, they have projected preliminarily Kentucky, West Virginia, South Carolina, which I absolutely hate. I don't hate South Carolina people. I hate that he got South Carolina. Alabama, Mississippi, which I absolutely hate, but I expected that's where my parents were born, so I hate it. Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Indiana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Louisiana, it looks like, and Nebraska. I'm a little concerned about the Louisiana slightly, but a lot of these don't surprise me
Mm-hmm.
at this point, especially
Mm-hmm.
not for Mr. Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was just projected a few moments ago. So 119 to 94, maybe, you know. Of course, some pretty big ones we're holding out for, but
And then you mentioning that, Brother Marcus, if I can say this,
yes. Mm-hmm.
you calling out electoral college numbers 119 to 94. That's another discussion that we need to have in terms of the system,
Mm-hmm.
because I learned things about the electoral college in the last couple of years, blew my head back, that in terms of its design, in terms of its actual origin, design, and intention.
Mm-hmm.
And and looking at, and there are others who've actually been talking about this, how uh, what elections would look like and how important even it would be for us to do away with the electoral college. That's another part of, I think, the discussion when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to a whole systemic change about the American political system.
Mm-hmm. Well, we will come back. I hope that you will come back in, maybe another hour or so. I don't expect that it will be final results, but we might see a little more clearer path to 270. And let's hope that, whatever that path looks like, I hope an expected path, but whatever that path looks like, you're right. We've got work ahead of us to do.
Yes.
I'm hoping that people are prepared to do collective work.
Yeah.
And what I've seen has not been as collective as I had hoped.
Yeah.
But I'll keep hope alive.
Do that. Yes.
All right. Well, Darren Williams, thank you so much from Oklahoma. I hope that you will come back in about an hour. I'll make sure I shoot you some information to come back and talk with us, and maybe some others will be on. I know people are glued to the television set. I couldn't do it tonight. I don't have the energy. So I just thought
But yeah, I'll be back. I'll find me some lights to put on, so I'll look a little different. But yeah, I'll be back.
All right. Very good.
Thanks for having me. All right.
Thanks. All right. We'll be back maybe in an hour or so or two. It may be a long night or a long couple of nights or a long week, but hang in there. Hopefully, change is on the way. And as you hear Darren Williams says, the work of change needs to begin without regard to who will occupy the office, though I'm hopeful that a specific person will. We will see you in maybe an hour and a half.